Hello, bonjour and welcome to your new Bonner Private Wines video where we learn about wine together, weekly brought to you by the best wine club in America. Today I want to tell you about one of my favorite styles of wine, of white wine, of French white wine, of classic French white wine. This is your ideal wine for fresh seafood, summer nights, hot summer days. Very refreshing, very zingy. You need to know about it. Yes, it is classic. Every wine connoisseur around the world has heard about it. And if you're interested a bit in learning more about wine, you should have this style of wine that is cheap, that is affordable, that is relatively easy to find anywhere in the world in your repertoire, so you can match it with different foods. So let's go and talk about it. Yes, I want to introduce you, or at least talk to you a bit more about this style of wine that we call Muscadet in France. Yes, it is classic, it is traditional, it's been made for decades. Every French person knows about this style. What is Muscadet? What does it represent for us French people? You would find Muscadet anywhere in France. This is what we would call our typical oyster wine. Yes, we do like to have oysters with some celebration dinners for Christmas, New Year's Eve, and also throughout summer. We love having oysters. But beyond oysters, this is your perfect wine for any type of seafood dish and fish. If you're having prawns as an entree, or lobster, or mussels, any pasta dish that is based on seafood, with clams, for example, that the Italians are fond of as well. Any creamy fish, any dish that comes from the sea, essentially is gonna appreciate having this type of white wine that is so crisp and zingy, and we'll get to what it tastes like in just a second. And because it is also quite low, relatively low in alcohol, no sugar whatsoever, it's very dry, well, it's simply very refreshing, very celebratory, very easy to enjoy in a hot summer day, in a hot summer night, as an aperitif, or with appetizers, or with your entrees. And it is traditional French, but also very modern because it doesn't have much alcohol, because it's zingy, and because it's fruity. Muscadet comes from the Loire Valley of France, but the Loire Valley is the longest river in France. It crosses about half of the country. Well, Muscadet is made by the ocean, and this is why they make it there, and this is why it goes so well with everything that comes from the sea. So it's basically made by the Atlantic Ocean, just around the city of Nantes, by the ocean on the coast. It is made from a grape variety that is called Melon de Bourgogne, which surprisingly means the melon of Burgundy, or from Burgundy. And I believe, yes, that grape originally it's an old grape from Burgundy, but it's now only grown in that part of France. I think they have quite a mineral, limestone rich soil there, so I think it translates also and gives this wine some of its minerality. What else do you need to know about Muscadet? Well, they make some versions of it, and this one is one, and you can see how traditional the label on this bottle is. You'll often find this shape of bottle, which looks very classy, and a very, very old-fashioned style of label, which I think, if you're serving this in the US, is going to be a conversation starter, and it's going to make it look more expensive than it probably is. I bought this bottle here at my local wine shop for about 6 or 7 euros. It's probably going to be a little more in the US, but you can probably find this for $15–20, so very, very affordable for a classic French style. There are some versions that are called sur lit, which means that the wine has been aged at the winery on the lees, meaning on the dead yeasts. So they leave the white wine in the tanks with a layer of dead yeasts, and then they'll mix the yeast with the wine, and those yeasts liberate some compounds that give the wine a bit more creaminess, a bit more oily, a texture, a little bit of a yeasty characteristics, a bit smoky, essentially the same approach, the same minerality, the same composition of wine that happens in a champagne bottle, where they also age the champagne on the side of the bottle on its side with the lees at the bottom, and that's what gives it a bit of a nutty, creamy, hazelnut, buttery texture, as well as more creaminess into the wine. So some producers extend these sur-lie aging over years and years, and that balances the wine, the acidity of the wine, and gives it an oilier texture, which balances the whole minerality a bit better. It's also worth noting that these type of wines can age surprisingly well. They are quite affordable and cheap, and especially the ones that have been aged sur-lie on the yeasts can actually be aged for 3, 4, 5 years and more, and they develop more nutty characteristics. They're going to increase depth and complexity with some waxy, nutty notes, and they age surprisingly well. They're not only about the freshness and the citrusy characteristics, so they can age extremely well and develop more depth and complexity. So it's essentially, yes, a wine that you want to know about and maybe try it for yourself, buy a few, pair it with different seafood dishes and see whether you like it, and then you can serve it to your guests and always have a few bottles on hand. Yes, because you can store it, you can cellar it for a few years, so you can have it in your cellar for when an opportunity to open a bottle comes up. But let's taste. This is a wine that has a relatively light lemon yellow color. It is supposed to be a light white wine, fresh and zingy, so the color is not all that big or expressive. It's light, but that's what it's meant to be. Let's sniff. Yeah, wow, I'm definitely getting a lot of lime and lemon. A bit of grapefruit as well. I'm getting quite a lot of herbal characters as well, a little bit of peppermint, a bit of thyme, I would say, as well. So it's quite minty, quite herbal. But I also love, yes, this little buttery and nutty character, like a macadamia nut, so quite creamy and buttery as well. So very zingy, but also I can smell that it smells creamy, if that makes any sense. Let's taste. Yes, so very, very dry, a white wine with ton of acidity. It's got this citrusy acidity on the side, which you may find a little bit aggressive, a little bit harsh if you're tasting it by itself, but as soon as you're going to pair it with some food, by the way, you could pair this with some cheese, some hard cheeses, it's going to be absolutely delicious as well as the seafood. If you put this along with some entrees or appetizers or cheese, well, this acidity is going to be a plus, a food-friendly characteristic and property that enhances the experience for this wine. So very zingy, lots of lime, lots of lemon, lots of citrus, just zingy. It's a little bit floral as well on the back of your palate. And I've just noticed that this particular wine was actually aged in oak barrel as well. So it increases the oily texture. It's very rich and very creamy, very oily. So you got all the zingy acidity that strikes your palate at first, but then you feel the oily texture from the aging on the lees, from some oak aging in this case as well, and this contrast that really makes this wine shine. So it's not just a simple light, zingy and dry white wine. It's a lot more than this because of the aging on the lees, because of all the traditional winemaking, the special grape that they use in France, all the love and the passion that they've put into growing this specific type of wine that goes so well with seafood for decades and generations and generations. It's cheap, it's affordable, yes, but you're getting all the know-how and the savoir-faire from that region of France to go with beautiful dishes, and that pairs so wonderfully with a variety of dishes. I hope you will taste Muscadet. I hope you will find your perfect match food pairing for this wine, and I hope you will use this very tip that I'm giving you today. Know and get to know Muscadet for the future. I'll see you soon in the wonderful world of wine. Cheers.